Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name's Lumen and today we are jumping in to Greedfall. Yep, the original. Greedfall 1. It's a bit of a blast from the past considering Greedfall 2's early access has just released, but there is no better time than now to play this game. If you haven't played it yet, I heartily recommend it. I'm just going to say that here and now. I give it a thumbs up. I played all the way through this game from start to finish and I loved it. The story, the setting, the world, the characters, all of it, phenomenal. Let's not get distracted, however. Let's get started on the video. Engage in a core role-playing experience and forge the destiny of a new world, seeping with magic and filled with riches, lost secrets, and fantastic creatures. With diplomacy, deception, and force, become part of a living, evolving world. Influence its course and shape your story. Yeah, it's all true. As we jump in, I'm just going to say you can do a deep dive. You can find some links below. Discover all there is to discover about this game for yourself if you like, and there will be timestamps also. Use them. Find what you're looking for and leave satisfied. We are creating Desarde. This is a character that already exists. It has its own backstory and history. We will learn all about it when we play the game. Thus, this whole thing is curated. It is not heavily restrictive in any way. There's still a lot that you can do, but you are creating a character that's already there in the world. You're just sort of customizing the way you want your Desarde to look. Keep that in mind as we go in here. And because of that, there are certain things that you will not be able to change. One of them, this mark on your face right here. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. That's like one of the main story points. So play the game and find out. For the purposes of this video, we are going to be jumping into male customization, then female, then we'll look at the skills, the attributes, and the talents. It's all important stuff, obviously. If you're going to be playing this game, you will care about everything. Now, to begin, I'm going to say that the presets are basically just combinations of all the different options down here, and you'll see it as I go through them. You can see the sliders moving around, and you can see basically that each of them is just one of the faces that are available here, but with different options on top of it. And that alone should give you a quick peek as to how much you can change your character. Now, there's a lot more, obviously, than you can see on the surface, in that you can take, as an example, this preset, right? You can see the options over there. Then you can just change the face on it. With the faces, you will notice that there are different skin tones attached to them for ethnic reasons and connections, right? I'll go through them and you'll see what I mean. But each of the faces is usually locked to one of those presets. However, you can mix that up. So if you want to have this preset with a different face, you can do so. However, just realize that it will change a few minor things, like I said, the skin tone. I would say the single most important choice here is probably male or female. But other than that, in terms of customization, your face is the most important because the face does determine, you know, the bulk of the visual style that you are working with. And it also changes the ethnicity a little bit along with the skin tone. So, yeah, pick carefully and see what you can do. But there are some decent faces here. I like it. I like the face choices. The hair, I've actually got a lot to say about the hair in this game. You know, when I initially jumped in here, it looked alright. It was like 5 years ago, I think. And I thought there's a lot that they did right with it. The individual strands that they have and the texture work was kind of nice. They did reasonably well with all of it, and it looked good in the game, in motion and stuff like that. But now coming back to it, I can see that it is a little static looking in certain places. However, it's still, honestly, in a lot of ways, shapes and forms holds up. So it's like, it's a bit this way and a bit that way, if you know what I'm saying. Like, this style, as an example, I think is incredibly impressive because they have pushed beyond what I feel the engine and what they have in the other styles seems like it's capable of, where they have the nice sort of together style, but then they have the individual strands there to make it look a little more lively and realistic, right? And you must realize when this game first came out, this was very much an indie studio, and I feel like the game itself was an exercise in punching above the pay grade, if you know what I'm saying. Like, they were making this epic RPG experience with so much less than other studios have, and it's to this day, it's an impressive thing that they've done. So I like it. A lot of the stuff that they have here looks decent, but some of it does look a little older, and you got to obviously take what you can get where that's concerned. I actually think that the texture work that they have on the shaved head here is actually reasonably good. Some of the styles to me look better and some look worse. As an example, I don't like the way that they've connected the hair to the scalp with this one, but then they do it better on some of the others. As an example, these ones. So when they have those flatter textures, it tends to look a little worse, but some of these hairstyles, yeah, they definitely look okay. This game actually has facial hair, whereas the Greedfall 2 Early Access currently does not. I am 100% certain they'll add facial hair in. And the facial hair in this, also much like the rest of the hair, looks alright. Yeah, it's okay. You are very much, once again, jumping into sort of what I would call a curated experience, where you have facial hair styles that are obviously suited to our character and the timeline and everything else, right? They're not giving you big, savage-looking, bushy beards like one of the natives of Tiafradi might have. In this, you have a far more refined style, and I think it suits the character and the character creator quite well. I believe the beards do, in terms of the technical aspects, look way better than the hair. You can see that the blend-in they've done on the cheeks here, and with basically all the connections to the skin, it looks so much better. Like, I mean, that is actually just a really nice looking beard. And again, this is like from 5 years ago, right? It's a really nice looking beard. It's good. It's good. I would use that. I would absolutely use that. So, far more impressive than it has any right to be. And yeah, there's facial hair, so that's cool. Eyebrows. The eyebrows are actually a pretty big deal here because they do change the way your character sort of looks and feels in the cutscenes. And I want to point out, in case it wasn't clear, you're going to be looking at your character a lot. Your character has face time in the cutscenes. It is important to make it look the way you want it to look, right? You see your character up close and personal. Skin tone. This is something that will change based on the face that you have selected. So you will notice that on this face, you can't really go all that dark. However, if you move over to one of these other faces, you get a slightly darker look. And, you know, it's something you're going to have to sort of mix and match with and figure out where you want to be, you know? Then we have hair color. Let's have a quick peek at the hair color. Actually, a reasonably good selection. Kind of hard to see what's going on with the brightness from that window over there. But the hair color choices here are reasonably varied. And I was, at the time, very impressed with it, and I still think it looks really nice. They've just chosen a bunch of really good-looking colors here. Very much grounded in reality, I will say. But they are still vibrant enough. They still offer enough variety. And, yeah, I mean, overall, you will find something that you like. I particularly like the way they've done the black. And then your final choice is the eye color. This game does suffer a little from the problem where you can't really see the eye color all that much when your character is sort of in motion and when you zoom out a little bit. But again, you do zoom in like this view that I've got here, and even closer a whole bunch during the game. So the eye color is important and you do get to see it. But it's sort of a more realistic approach to the way the characters look, right? So you must understand that if you were a couple of feet away from a person, you will not be able to see their eye color all that easily unless they have glowing celestial eyes. I do like the way the eyes look, however, and the detail on it is like super impressive. It's incredibly well done. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Once again, the presets are easy enough to just jump through if you want to pick something quickly and easily. But for male, we are done. Now we're going to jump into female, have a look at this. I played on a female character when I played through the game. I managed to make my wife, and it was highly enjoyable, and she looked fantastic. I do like the way that the female characters look here. We're going to start with the presets right now, and then we'll go on to the other options. I mentioned on the male side, and I'll mention it here again, the presets are just different combinations of everything available down here. So you can recreate all these presets by just shuffling around the sliders, and you can also take them and then modify them. I believe that in certain situations, the female faces and characters look better in certain situations, but I think that both do look reasonably good overall. And I'm pretty happy with all the different options they have here in terms of ethnicity and in terms of face shapes and stuff like that. I think that the females have a nicer selection. Maybe not a more varied selection, but a nicer selection in terms of the presets themselves. So the face is probably your biggest option, because what it does is it actually changes the whole structure of the face, but it also gives you access to different skin colors. Right? So certain of these faces, as an example, this one, and yeah, this one, and then these last two, they have different skin tones. You will notice that these have darker skin tones, these two over here, and then these two have, I would say, warmer skin tones than the other ones, and then your pale, pasty white ones are at the start over here. So, you know, that's probably the most important choice you can make right there, other than, you know, whether you make it a male or a female. The face does change quite a lot. Now, I'm going to go with the default face for the purposes of the customization here. I like this one. And then we're going to look at the hair. Then we're going to look at the hair. You will notice that the hair looks different than the male. And there are some styles that are questionable. I'm going to be straight. This is not a good hairstyle. And I mean, I'm not saying that the style is not good. I'm saying that the way it looks here is just not good. It's like, it's not nice texture work. And you know, it's funny because this strays from the norm. I think a lot of the hair here actually looks reasonably impressive. They've done a good job. And I mean, this is not a brand new game. This was made on a teeny weeny little indie game budget, and they did phenomenally well. But that one style there just sort of, it icks me out a little bit and I don't dig it. But a lot of the others look really nice. As an example here, they have a really nice connection with the hair to the forehead and the scalp over here. It's incredibly well done. It's what I said with the beards and the stubble. It's incredibly well done in so many ways, especially for, like, you know, an indie game with the budget that they had. And this hairstyle specifically, I think, is pretty phenomenal with its individual strands and stuff like that. There's just a lot to like about it, you know? Eyebrows. Very important. Desade is quite an expressive character. They like their eyebrows to move around a lot, so the ones that you pick here will definitely be used. Pick them with care. Pay attention, and it's important. You know, they change the way your character looks. You can go from concerned to angry with the flick of a button. You know, boom, 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 boom. So, yeah, pay attention. Skin color, as I was mentioning, this changes based on the face you have selected. So you can go only so dark on this face, but if you jump over to one of these other faces, you can go a little darker. I have noticed that the male characters, they tend to go a little darker than the female ones, but like not much. It's sort of still quite similar, right? Not much of a difference. But there you go. And then our hair color. The hair colors are nice. I really like what they've done with the hair colors. This game, however, still suffers from the same issue that the second game does, where they don't actually allow you to zoom in or out here. But the hair colors are really cool. I do like how they did the built-in two-tones, basically, with a lot of the different colors that they have available here. I really like the darker colors as well. I think they've done incredibly well with them. And they managed to keep a decent selection here while keeping it sort of grounded in reality, where they have sort of rarer or more out there color choices, but they still sort of keep it looking realistic and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty well done. And then finally, eye color, a little bit more impactful on the female characters, as it seems like their eyes are generally a little bigger than the male counterparts. Again, this is very important. Even though you may think, oh, the colors aren't all that bright, you're going to see them up close and personal in the game. So it's still an important choice regardless. They are very much grounded in reality, though, again, just like the hair colors, where you have mostly colors that you would find in real life, which is cool. Again, you're jumping into a game here that is very much a more quote-unquote realistic depiction of something that could happen in a fantasy situation. That sounds really weird saying that. But yeah, we'll just stick with calling it grounded in reality, right? So there's our character for now. That's all the female options. And with that said and done, I am going to jump into the rest of the customization, that is starting with the skills. So your starting skills right here, they are actually just your starting point, right? You are picking a starting point for your character, but you can, and as they say it over here, branch out into any other skill trees as you play the game. Your choices are warrior. This profile focuses on melee combat. Technical, this is controlling the battlefield and traps and other goodies like that. And then magic, which explains itself. On warrior, your starting skills, one-handed heavy weapons, one-handed blades, and firearms. And then you get the recommended attributes over here, which is strength and endurance. Recommended talents is craftsmanship and vigor. These are really just serving suggestions. You can do whatever you want with any of this. The technical class, I think this is what I played. They can set traps, they use firearms and one-handed blades. Their attributes are accuracy and agility. It's a nice split. They've basically got all three that you'd need. Their recommended talents are science and lockpicking. I obviously wanted to go for those because, yeah, it sounds pretty good. And then magic, they use divine magic rings, stasis, and one-handed heavy weapons. Their recommended attributes are mental power and willpower, and then they are recommended science and intuition. So you will see more of that as we jump into this next section now. This is your attribute selection. And it sort of explains itself, but if you just look at the pictures, you get to pick between strength, agility, mental power, endurance, accuracy, and willpower. In this game, the strength, it increases the power of all your melee attacks, and it is required to wield the best one-handed and two-handed blunt weapons. And you can see the bonuses that you get on the right-hand side over there. Agility increases fury generation and all damage inflicted in melee combat. It's required to wield the best one-handed and two-handed swords. Mental power increases the power of all spells. It's required to wear the best rings in the game. Endurance, maximum life and balance. It's required to wear the heaviest armors. Accuracy is the power of all firearms and alchemical preparations. That's required to wield the best firearms. And then finally, willpower increases the MP and spell duration. And it's required to wear the best amulets and necklaces. So it's all kind of useful. And you can go sort of through all of this to level them. But you're obviously going to have to limit yourself at the start. With that said, we move on to the talents. The talents are kind of interesting. This is basically how you're going to get yourself invested in the world, right? This is how you're going to progress and change things and basically make your journey unique, right? Because most of this stuff is not directly linked to gameplay. This is more so how you interact with the world around you. You have charisma over here, and each of them basically goes up a step from the previous. Charisma is slightly reducing the merchant's prices and improves your companion's combat abilities. It gives you like an aura. It also increases the chance of success in dialogue choices. I remember going for charisma and lockpicking, I think. I like the two of those. Then you have vigor. It lets you pass through certain difficult passages that require balance. It increases the ammo capacity and lets you slightly recover HP and magic outside of combat. Then you have craftsmanship. It allows you to craft basic weapons and armor upgrades. It's also pretty useful. And that obviously upgrades further as you go through. Then you have science. It allows you to make simple potions. It allows you to destroy weak walls with the help of explosive files. Then lockpicking. Lets you pick simple locks. Enemy traps are easier to see. And finally, intuition. Gathering sights become easier to see. Slightly increases the number of ingredients and objects obtained through gathering and looting. It also gives you extra options in dialogue. So if you notice things with your intuition, then that will pop up. And that does bring us to the end. After you're done here, you jump in and your game just starts immediately. There we go. Greedfall. It's such a fantastic game. I really have no criticisms here. And I mean, it's a little late to be criticizing a game that came out 5 years ago. So instead of criticizing, I will just say that I thoroughly enjoyed playing through this. I enjoyed the character that I made, and I thought it was definitely more than enough for me to get started in the way that I wanted to get started. The options and stuff available here, they're pretty great. And I can really see that in the follow-up game, which is a prequel, they are going to expand even more upon what they've built here. I thought that the characters themselves looked pretty awesome, especially way back then, and they still hold up. They really still hold up, especially considering the game gets you up close and personal constantly. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I can't say enough good about Greedfall. I really can't. I love it. And if you guys are considering jumping in, I hope this helped you, and I hope you enjoy yourselves as much as I did. There you go. You can, as always, find my links below, my coffee page, my Twitch channel, and all the rest. Give this one a like and share it and do all that other good stuff. Once again, if you're playing Greedfall, enjoy, dudes. It's so worth it. Happy that.